Threesomes.
Threesomes. So
Threesomes.
Threesomes. You just going right into
We're
it.
going straight into it. Let's go straight to it right here on the D&D Leveling Up podcast. And if you don't know, now you know. That's right, y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe right now, man. We're going straight into it, man. We're skipping all the fluff. Tell me about this crazy threesome situation, bro.
So, man, this pastor, right? Has a
like
wife.
a bad joke. This pastor, this preacher, this minister this rabbi walking to a bar.
Walking to a bar.
It's just so crazy, bro. So tell them. I'm sorry.
So
I gotta
this is crazy. So this is a crazy story that I saw on Anton Daniels. Shout out to Anton Daniels. So basically, this pastor, right, has a wife, right? This wife is on the podcast, right? So she's talking about the fact that she's going to give her husband a threesome for his 30th birthday. Wow. And they're talking about this whole situation, right? So she takes all the blame because she brought the situation to her husband, or they were talking about this whole situation.
Right.
Now he's a pastor of a church, right? And her situation is that she saw another pastor get involved, sleeping with somebody in the congregation, was like pointing the fingers and like, that person should never do that. And you know, with the righteous indignation and got mad, and like, you shouldn't be doing that. So, the Bible tells you about, don't start looking at the what is it, the needle or the blank in somebody else's eye. You got a plank in your own eye. You have to start. Don't look at another person, falling, because you yourself can fall. Don't judge, right?
Don't judge.
So, in the aspect, and I'm paraphrasing, guys. So, she happens to have a best friend or another friend, and so this friend tells her that she likes her, right? And so she was like, oh, because this girl's not, gay or whatever, and she said, so the girl, she says, I'm gonna give my pastor husband this gift of a threesome.
Oh. So
she gets involved with the girl, sleep with this girl to test drive.
Test drive.
She's
trying to make sure she has control of the situation.
Exactly. So then she brings this person to her husband. They all get into it, and then this person happens to be cheating with her husband now.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
the crazy part about it. Now, the situation is, first of all, you're a pastor.
Number one.
That's number one. You don't accept when your wife brings something to the table that's not godly, that's not within your purview, that you should be doing that first. Y'all shouldn't even be talking about the whole situation. It could have never been a situation where that could have been positive. She could have fell in love with you. You could have fell in love with the girl. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? The girl could have your wife could have fell in love with the girl. It could have been so many ways that could go wrong. Like, logically, it doesn't make any sense. It might have been fun for the time. The Bible tells you that sin has joy for season. Right. But after a while, it becomes gravel in your mouth. So, I'm not judging anybody based on this, because the girl, she owned up to the fact that she brought it to him. It's almost like they're comparing this, the whole Adam and Eve thing, that when Adam was in the garden with Eve, we always do a lot of blaming on Eve, but Adam was with her when she took the apple. Right. And he also took of it, and she gave it to him. He ate of the apple, knowing that God had told him already, like, listen, I don't want you to mess with this tree. So now, but it does say that the devil beguiled her, which he probably was working on. It probably didn't happen overnight. He was probably seducing her over time to the point, and she was like, hey, listen, he was like, hey, Adam, let's go. But he went with that situation. Right. So the girl was she took responsibility. But I also feel like the pastor had a responsibility as her husband. Like, literally, he should have been like, yo, we ain't doing this. But that shouldn't have been a discussion to begin with in the first place. No,
as a married man, you talk about fantasies with your wife. Okay?
Of course,
exactly. She wants you to like, but it may be it may be a sin to do it. Yeah. But if you're talking with your wife about it, okay. Yeah. Yeah. But to me, this knowing that you do talk with your wife about things like that, this had to been on the short stick of his fantasies. Yeah. for her to accept it
yeah.
and try and make it happen
yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
They had to have already been
doing some other thing.
He had been already doing something, or she had already been doing something. This is not something you wake up one day
That's true.
and decide to do.
Yeah.
You were already that was already your thorn
yeah.
in your side.
Long
before the threesome.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you can approach another woman
as
a woman
to
sleep with that woman and then try and pimp her out to your husband.
Well, you know what the thing is, she didn't even approach her. Like it's weird because the girl approached her at first. And it seemed like it's almost like the devil set the situation up.
But the wife has the access to the whole
she has
situation.
access. Yeah, she had access. And then when the person tried, like the girl tried to attach herself to her, she ran the first time. But then she went back. You know what I'm saying?
Went back to try it out.
Went to try it out. And so when she tried it out, obviously it got good to her. And the guy was like, well, literally, you probably did this for yourself. You didn't do this for your husband. You said you're doing it for your husband, but you did it. You tasted of the sin, and you in the beginning you were pointing like this sin is bad, but then you eventually fell into something that you thought you would never fall into,
right? Because
of your own righteousness or your self-righteousness, and then you got into it. Then you enjoyed it, and then you were like, I'm gonna bring this to my husband, and you know what I'm saying? Let him enjoy some of this sin. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, at that point, her husband should have been like, yo, no, this is the line. We're not doing this. You know what I'm saying? He should have been saying to her, like, yeah, this is cool, but, you know.
Like, this sounds cool.
This sounds cool. But
like, a fantasy can just stay a fantasy.
Exactly. But.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you know, my thing is that, like, look, she brought it to him.
Yeah.
He was supposed to really shut that down.
Exactly. Shut it down.
It's like, I think we have, like, we have a pandemic of not being able to say no.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this is the thing.
There's people that not comfortable
saying no,
being uncomfortable
saying no, because you know what it is, because they also want people to validate them. I think, and this is to speak to relationships and other things, and we're kind of going on that relationship aspect, guys, because it's just a leadership situation, right, or effective leadership,
right?
Like, give an example. I know personally of someone who had the same situation, and of course their spouse went over to the other side because of that, and it happened both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what happens is, in that aspect, the man is that's not he actually let things go instead of being led into a situation, leading out of something. He led his wife into a situation where he could have just avoided to protect her and cover her. Because to be honest with you, you really shouldn't bring anybody else into the 3-4 chord. It's God in the middle. It's you and your spouse, right? So anytime you bring anybody else in, that's an intrusion. It's almost like the Bible talks about lust being like a chink in your armor. You know what I'm saying? You have armor, and the devil just uses that as a chink. You know, one thing that this guy was talking about when people were trying to overcome lust and things is that the attack is really not about you. The devil wants to attack God. It's not attack on you, it's attack on God.
You're just being used.
You're just being used. He just wants to use that situation. It's almost a situation where with Job, where God presented Job, he said, have you seen my servant? He tells the devil. He said, yeah, but he's only protecting because you got all this protection around him. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason why he's obeying you. But take that hedge of protection around from him, he's going to turn on you just like everybody else. And so he was like, Job went through the things he went through, and his friends was like, yeah, man, you should just his wife was like, you should just turn your back on God and just die. You know what I'm saying? Just die. Just die. Because you already, you're done.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, and one of the things that happened to Job in the situation, the thing that he feared, his children died. He feared, that's why he was always praying for his children all the time. They ended up dying, right?
Yeah.
So, even though God restored all this other stuff, getting back to the whole situation of leadership and relationship as pertained to being a man, regardless of being a pastor or whatever, regardless of the situation, God places a mantle on us to be able to protect and cover.
And be the head.
And be the head. That's the whole purpose, because you do that, you allow the enemy to come into situations, tear things up. And I know this based on individuals that I know, it ended in divorce. ending divorce, because there's things that were put into place, and I always put the responsibility on the man. I mean, it's not always the man's fault, but I always feel like even if somebody brings something to you, and you know this is not the way it's supposed to be, but it seems like that happens, and that happened with Adam, so it's gonna happen with many people. But you got to recognize it in yourself. Like, listen, I got to be myself and be myself in God. And listen, if this doesn't line up with what God does, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's why I was saying, like, this can't be. This probably wasn't the first time they did something out of line in their marriage.
Yeah.
Something else was already happening. This just ended it.
Yeah. And
this was the catalyst to end it.
The catalyst to end it.
It was. They were already doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's to me, I'm feeling like a real like one of Job's friends right now.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
Yeah. You did
what
other
did
things.
you do
What did we
to
not
piss
know?
off God? What do we not know? You're too good of a servant to God.
Yeah.
That's what I am right now. I'm like, you're a whole pastor.
Yeah.
You're too good of a servant to God to just be beguiled like this.
Exactly.
Okay, for the first time.
Yeah.
She brought somebody, and y'all started just mingling. Yeah. Just started going at it. Yeah. This is in your heart.
Yeah, it's in your heart. It has to start in your heart first. It starts in your heart first, and then it goes in your mind, start germinating that sin. And the Bible talks about how sin is birthed, and then at a certain point, it leads to death. And it doesn't have to be a physical death. It can be it's a spiritual death. Like, now they've been married for 17 years, and now they're divorced.
Wow.
So it's like all those 17 years, and then the guy was saying, this is just a microcosm of something. That really has nothing to do with it.
That's what I really mean. It has nothing to do with the girl, really.
Exactly. Or the situation. Y'all were breaking apart. You were just living together, basically. You weren't married. And initially she was like, oh, well, she said, yeah, I was kind of ratchet. He was like the minister's kid, the good kid. Yeah, y'all shouldn't have y'all were, it's unequal. You're both unequally yoked in the beginning. So you both were not meant to be in the same situation together in the first place.
Supposed to be a season.
You're supposed to be a season. Sometimes people are only a season. They're only seasonal. They're not lifetime. And if God doesn't bring you together in that aspect, then you should really try to force things together. And you could get along. Yeah. They according to her, they're a good team. You know what I'm saying? And there's some people who can survive. Like, T-Pain, him and his wife, they regularly had situations. They're together, but they never. It was them together. And if somebody came in, it was just for that moment, and it was done. And they were together, and that was it.
Like, my wife said, you gotta go.
Exactly.
You gotta go.
You gotta go, and that was it.
That was it.
You know what I'm saying? So, but they had an understanding. Their understanding is different. Now, I'm not at all advocating.
Are you sure?
I ain't advocating at all.
Let me stop. I'm like, come on now. Come on, let's get real, right? Yeah. Even in the Word, some of the most prolific characters are married to multiple, if not dozens of women.
Yeah, I mean, Solomon.
So I'm like, if we give that case, I'm like, yo. And then there's, to me, I don't for what my understanding of the Word, there's only one instance where you actually mentioned being married to like one person. Yeah. And then we're talking to a specific sect of people. Yeah. Like people that hey, you might want to go ahead and get married.
Yeah.
You're getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, long in the tooth.
You need somebody next to you.
Yeah, you burn
and you need to pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
You ain't got a whole lot of choices, man. Yeah. That's the way I read. I'm trying to remember the scripture, but that's the way I read that scripture, and I was like, yo, that's what this sounds like. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not advocating for it either. At the same time, we got so many great examples of men in the Word. Yeah. Why is the threefold cord so important? Yeah. When these guys were sharing a cord with these great people in the Word, were sharing a cord with everybody. Yeah. With everybody they picked. Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing, after the Old Testament and you have the New Testament, Jesus kind of came to fulfill what was going on in the Old Testament, right? So his prophet was talking about Moses, if you get a divorce, you would divorce him because of the hardness of your heart.
So at that certain point, they realized, it wasn't conducive to have all these concubines and wives and all that type of stuff. It wasn't just conducive. First of all, you gotta have a lot of money to do all that.
You gotta have a lot of money.
You got a lot of money. You gotta have a lot of patience. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if cycles are going this thing.
You gotta be a king.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta be a king. King don't have got time to be worried about your cycle. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain. We talked about this whole thing, like about the Jewish women, where there's going to cycle. Where
they're supposed to be, and where you supposed to be. They're separate because they're supposed to be not clean right now.
Can you imagine? Like I can't even imagine. Like I don't want to imagine. Look, you got 100 people, 100 women, and they all going through. You don't have a problem. But if you're a king, I mean, you can.
If you're a king, you got people for that.
Exactly.
If you got that type of cash,
you got that.
You got that type of influence.
Exactly.
Man.
Or that energy.
Yeah, man. This threesome thing, like I was saying, it already had to be in their heart to do it.
Yeah.
And they didn't clean it up when it first came to them.
True. Exactly.
That's all that is to it.
And then
it's like you can say no.
Yeah.
You can say no, but then if y'all are going for rock bottom.
Yeah.
And you felt like this is your only chance to get to do this legally or with her permission.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, this is going to be the last chance to do this. You don't say no.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the situation with Abraham and Sarah. And then also the servant that he had. I forgot what her name was. It starts with an H. But remember the fact that at a certain point, she was like, I think you should take my servant. So you get this kid. God promised you. God promised you to have. We're gonna have these children. As far as the sand is, as numbers of stars. But let me help God out. Let me help God out just a little bit. There's
another version of when
exactly
when the devil pushes you and changes somewhere. So he puts that spirit of lack in your heart.
Exactly.
Because
you're missing something.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's the way he got Eve. He changed one word in God's statement that changed the whole meaning around.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, and that's what we mean. That's what people mean by the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
That's because it's like that one word,
detail. Yeah.
That one detail of this can change the meaning of an entire situation.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful around people that give you this spirit of lack.
Yeah.
Like they make you feel like you're missing something in your life all the time.
True, yeah.
And it's like, yo, I can't hang.
Yeah.
I can't hang if you feel like you're lacking, so therefore I gotta lack too. Because if your perception is lack, everybody around you is probably gonna be in that same spirit. They're not gonna be, because they won't have the fortitude to stay around you that long.
Yeah, exactly.
If they believe they would live in abundance.
True.
You can't be around that too long. You can encourage.
Yeah.
Like I encourage you to change that spirit. I want to bring you and show you this opportunity that this can happen for you.
Yeah.
But you can't stay around me that long.
Yeah.
Unless I have a super team of people that just believe in abundance.
Yeah.
Unless you have that, you can't be around somebody that has that lack spirit all the time.
Yeah, you can't.
Spirit of fear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No, man, you can't have that stuff. And this is the thing, man. I realize we're always shooting for perfection, right? The Bible tells you that we're getting. God is perfecting us. He we're gonna good work in us will perfect it to the end. Right. So we're always being in the process of perfecting. Because I always look at people when they get in situations like that. I'm like, man, it's tough. It's tough to be in situations like that.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't judge people based on it. Because even when I looked at, you got to look at people in compassion. Now, she said that wasn't even the problem. They got over that. And they got over that.
What?
So then he decided to just stop being in church, move someplace completely. She didn't know why they moved. He lost his job. Didn't want to work. Then, of course, their finances just went down the drain. And then, of course, he got divorced and all the other stuff. But she doesn't even know why he even left the church, why he changed jobs, whatever the situation was. But, I realized something, that you have to have stability. And the Bible tells you that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, won't receive anything from the Lord. And I realized something, that you've got to get to the point, even this week, for me in terms of leveling up, is focusing on disciplining myself on different aspects. Even for me leveling up this week for guitar, right? Or just music. I recognized I had to do some more digging, like, Tim, I'll give you an example. Tim, he'll take a song, right?
Shout out Tim.
Shout out to Tim. Tim
one of the best bass players in South Florida, period, guys.
Exactly.
Tim T-Bass.
T-Bass. Tim will take a song, he'll go all the way deep dive into it. Like, I'll take the song and I'll be like, okay, let me get the surface of it so I can get the structure of it. I'll get most of the song down, get it, so I need to be able to be comfortable with it. I can play it comfortably enough, right? And I'll do my best. I'll try to get as much as I can. But then if I have like a large amount of things, I'm going to try to get as much as I can.
Yeah.
He will stay on one thing, deep dive, and stay in there forever and ever until he gets every nook and cranny, every detail until he gets it out. Now I'm approaching my craft in the way of like, when you're a guitar player, you're like ADHD. You see all this, it's like everything's like candy. You're like, I want this, I want that, I want this. I want to learn how to play this. I want to learn to do this. I want to do that. And we do this in life. And I'm giving you this analogy because it relates to like when I talk about your business decisions about life.
Yeah, you want the tricks.
Exactly, you want the tricks.
You don't want the bass. You don't want a strong foundation.
Exactly. So
you just want to flow at the top. This is where all the attention is going.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to hear a C major scale.
No, they don't.
At 80 BPM.
They don't want to hear
quarter notes.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to hear
exactly. But it's so funny, right? So it's interesting. Those are the vegetables.
Right. So
right now, like in the terms of like learning the instrument, I'm like doing all the vegetable work, which kind of gives you a headache after a while because you're like you basically kind of taking everything that you could take a song, or just not even taking a song, taking the geography of the instrument and just taking it apart. Which means for you guys who are not musicians, is mapping everything out, like learning all the notes, all the notes, like on a keyboard, I can just see all the notes. On guitar, you got to study them. And you got to see, it's almost like you see that movie Beautiful Mind?
Yeah.
You got to take all the things and match them together and start.
You got to do a minority report.
Exactly. You got to do a minority report. And see
this is what it's not supposed to sound. That's all I go through as a trumpet player.
Yeah.
You can't see nothing. You don't see nothing. You have to imagine the notes there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I get on, but see the thing is, I'll get on bass.
Yeah.
And it's not imagining anymore.
Yeah.
For me, it's
that's so weird.
It's
right?
it's like what you're saying, but it's like a step. When I get the bass, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Then piano,
it's way easier.
Way easier because you can see it's all stretched out and mapped out for you in a mathematical way.
Yeah.
And it makes me really approach. It makes me better on trumpet.
Yeah.
To play when I played bass, I actually got better at my thinking of notes and hearing notes because it was a more locked in instrument.
Yeah.
Trumpet is like you could be off the note all day and not know it sometimes. Unless you're sitting next to somebody with the piano, which is set.
It's a piano set. Everything is tuned to a piano, guys.
Everything is tuned that way, right? And then bass is set.
Yeah.
Unless you detune something. But it's all it's all locked in boxes.
Yeah.
Trumpet, you have to make the boxes and lock them there. In your brain. It's so funny. With your lips and your breath. And your breath, And your eye and your imagination. You have to imagine the note first.
It's so weird because I do play a little bit of trumpet. I started a little bit of trumpet. Not enough, not like he does.
Little no Black History fan.
Yeah, exactly. He don't know that though. The reason I did that because I used to teach band.
Oh, okay.
I used to teach symphonic band. So, but before that, my dad got me a trumpet when I saw Motivated Blues.
Oh.
And I was like, I want to be a trumpet player so badly. And then I had it. I think I just put it in a pawn and got gone. But I can play a C major scale. I know how to play a C major scale. So I understand at least that. Right? So, but it is different because you have to think about it. Like, I'm like, okay, dun-dun. I can play it. I can still play it in my head. But because I remember in Mo Better Blues, he was playing the trumpet. He was playing with his hand and his mind at the same time. Because you see him over here doing, I was like, okay, I'm going to be like, what's it called?
Yeah, you gotta imagine. And sometimes you can sit there and practice without
the instrument.
Yeah. So, because you almost have to get to that point to have a proficiency at playing trumpet.
Yeah.
And that's the hump that that I always want to get over.
Yeah.
But I'm scared. I'm scared to stay.
Bro, it's so funny. But I'll give you an example. So when I first started playing, right, like my friend Pete, shout out to Pete Edmondson, one of my best friends in the world. He come from Flomo too. And so when I first came, he didn't really know that much theory. Like I knew more theory than he does.
Right.
I showed him, I was like, okay, you need to get this book and do this, right? He went deep dive into the book. He's past me. But you know, it's not that he's past me. I just never took all the information I had and put it into the instrument.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, and applied it. I don't know if it was a fear of not. I don't know what it was, but it was it just gave me a headache to sit down all the time to keep on thinking things through and just going over the details instead of just like, I'll give you an example. I would have a repertoire of songs to play.
Mm-hmm.
He would like have 1 or 2 songs. I was like, bro, why ain't you playing? Why don't you? Because he's deep diving, and I'm like, I'm surfacing. I'm skiing. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Like, yo,
saying?
We out here. Man, I got that swag.
You know what I'm saying?
We out here.
You know what I'm saying? I'm skiing. He's over here staying. I'm like, bro, you can't play with anybody. You don't know any songs. But the fact is now he can play any song now.
There
you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. He doesn't even have to. He has to just hear the song now. So now his application is higher on a different level because he's taking more time to invest that amount of time on not just doing surface things, but doing deep dives. Now for me, at this point, I want to get to a certain level. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I've got to deep dive it. Like even like take, for instance, I'm transcribing 2 things on the piano, which I was like, yo, I really don't want to do that, but I'm going to do it anyways. I was like, I had a song, a gospel song. I was like, I stayed on that one song. I ain't doing anything else. I had another guitar solo. Very simple, which actually helped me relax on guitar. Stayed on that one song. Don't do anything else. And don't do anything else but those 2 things on those 2 different instruments. And focus completely on getting every single detail. Because that's actually going to level you up. Then I can play both the songs. But can I play the nuances of the things that people don't hear? The notes in between the notes. So the thing, you know, there's a adage, you should be able to hear the things that are not being said. Than the things that are being said. What's here, but in between the lines of what someone's saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sometimes people always think, we're always looking at what people say, but think about what they don't say.
What did they leave out?
What they leave out.
Why would they leave that out?
Why are they leaving it? Exactly. And it's so funny because like I had a great, like, you know, it's interesting how family and success and all the things. I was looking at a autobiography by George Michael, and he was saying that like literally he was going. He had like one of the biggest albums at the time, right, which was a faith album, right. It's just interesting because he has so much stuff about Jesus, and he's on an alternative lifestyle, but like you're talking about Jesus so much. I just find it very interesting, right? The dichotomy. So he said that he literally was like trying to be famous. Ended up being like more famous than he thought he would be, and then was under stress because he was that famous. And it was like, I don't think I knew it was gonna be this when I got here. Like he said, I was losing my mind. And it's weird because the next album, which is I think is Listen Without Prejudice, that album is actually bigger than the album he did before. And he didn't even put himself on the album. Like he didn't promote it or anything. He didn't put himself in the videos. He didn't do any promotion, and the album still outsold the other one. But people actually remember the one before that because he had his face on it and everything else. So it's interesting that he was like literally actually started to destroy his life. And the only thing that really counted was like family. And I thought about even my family. We had a photo shoot today, right? And I was like, man, it was such a beautiful time and moment. You know what I'm saying, to have. And I was thinking about like all these people who are successful, Steve Jobs, George Michael, all these people are like, yeah, we got successful, but it would have been better if we had family, the people that they lost that were close to them, all these other stuff. So when we're all trying to chase all these things, you know, pay attention to the small details, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's in the details.
It's in the details.
This is where you're going to find that happiness, or you're going to find complete destruction.
Yeah.
Because you can have everything that you want, but know what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
You know, it might cost you that time. You know, I know I deep dive into editing and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to deep dive into everything that I do all at one time for some reason.
Yeah.
And some moments I know God is really working with me because he'll be like, "Go hug your wife."
Yeah.
No, because you could be there all night. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Just trying to be successful at this thing.
Yeah.
And you'll forget like she isn't a small thing.
Yeah.
But just that hug or that kiss is a small token. Yeah. But it can be so much bigger
to her.
Than you ever thought it would be. You may not have spent hours. Yeah. With her working on the relationship. Yeah. But that time that you took out of the hours that you could have just been zoned in, like, and then you forget about what's really important next to you.
Exactly.
It's like it can really mess you up, man. I know that people go through that playing the video games. I know there's some marriages out there struggling about these. Cause, bro, I used to go home, turn that PlayStation on. Good. 4 or 5 hours later, it's time to go to bed. I don't play this game all night.
I don't play video games.
And I'm just like, I'm not the only one. Yeah. Because there's people on here playing along with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole controllers, earmuffs, everything. Yeah. You know, special stuff. They done bought all the skins and everything. That's just what they're into, right? It's that new. It's that new casino. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I call it. It's the new casino, because some of these games just want you to pay.
Yeah, of course.
They just want you to pay for stuff that they created. I'm like,
it's all about money.
I want to play. I just want to play the game. Right? I don't know why I want to stay on this. All night and play.
That's the thing.
You don't know why. You're just playing.
Because interesting thing, they used to say that. I remember my cousin was like, "Man, you don't play video?" I said, "I don't play games, bro." He got so offended. He's like, "I don't play games." You know what I'm saying? He's like, "Oh my gosh, you don't play games?" He said, "You don't play?" I said, "Man, you play video?" I said, "I don't play games, brother." And he was like, "Man, but it's not that. I just know myself. Right. Like, I would probably go all in doing something like that. So it's almost like I know my addictive behavior. Right. So if I know I'm enjoying something, I'm like thinking like F1 Formula 1. Yeah. I want to get the car, the chair, the whole thing. I want to get the whole
simulator, period.
I want to get the whole simulator. You know what I'm saying? I want to pretend like I'll be in there trying to be a driver and all that. For real.
You think you're doing it in real life.
Exactly. So, and then I'll be doing the plane thing. I'm like, listen, man, if I'm not going to go into that, because that's going to take my attention.
Right.
I could be practicing music or doing something that
Make sure that you're still a provider at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
You're just not entertaining yourself.
Exactly. Now you do that after you've made the things successful that you wanted.
Yeah, but see.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's where sometimes I be feeling like that's where the fun stops.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Or I feel like some people feel like that's where the fun stops. Like if I become successful, I know I can't do this behavior. I know.
Someone talked to me about that today.
I was watching Alex Hormozy, and he was like, let's reverse engineer this. Yeah. He says everything, he was talking about this one dude, he says, all he does is invert stuff. Yeah. He says, okay, let's list all the things that will make us terrible at this or that. Yeah. List all of it. List your worst version. He was like, list the worst version of yourself.
Oh, wow.
List the worst version of yourself. And people are yelling out. They're yelling out like, oh, what could you do that could not get you to? Yeah. What could you do that wouldn't impress you later? Yeah. Right? And they were like, oh. Some people were like, hey man. They were like, heroin. They were like, coke. He was like, man, it's kind of dark.
Hey,
but we're going here.
We're gonna go here anyway.
Man, I was thinking stuff like games or phone or stand on this too long or being lazy or not being on time. I was thinking about those things, but you guys really imagine when I ask you to imagine. You're going way deeper. Yeah. So he says, okay, now let's do this. Invert that. Yeah. Flip it. Yeah. Now you know how to win at anything.
Oh right. Wow. Yeah. That's deep.
Because you know how to. It's easy for us to know how to lose.
True.
We know all the worst things that can happen.
That's true.
Let's bring it back to the other podcast.
Yeah.
What's the best thing that can happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to know. It's easy for you to come up with the worst things.
Yeah.
We've been like institutionalizing to coming up with the worst activities, and it's like you never know that you're going to create these worst activities in your head when you start talking. You just like people are like, oh, we should try this, and then you automatically 4 or 5 stop signs pop up in your head, stop, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this. Oh, you ain't gonna have enough money. Oh, it's gonna take too much time. Oh, you gotta learn a new skill. Oh, you got Nobody says, I'm gonna make $2 million.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna make $50 million in 3 years. I'm gonna learn a new skill. I'm gonna be able to pass this company down to my kids. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of people that's doing that, and the people that do that are the ones that are successful. And what they want to do.
You know, it's interesting you should say that, bro, because I was talking to this guy at a guitar center, a friend of mine, right? And he was like, I think he's 53, right?
Right.
I think 3 years ago, he just got married and just had a kid. And he was like, man, it's a complete change of thought pattern now. Like, he said he's not wild anymore. He's got to calm down. First moved in with his wife, and they were together, and she was like, my parents said, we're Muslim. You need to marry me. He was like, oh, okay, guess we can get married. So he got married, then they had a kid.
Right.
And then he's like, man, but it's so great. Because he picked somebody who supports him. He supports her. And it never started out that way. It just started out like him helping her out with stuff because they were in the music field. And he helping her out. She was DJing. He was helping set her up stuff. And then just start progressing to the point where now they're married. And he's happy. And he's a totally different person. Like, his perspective on life has changed. Now he's like got this child. He's like, I go to work and I go home and I play with my baby and take care of my wife. And it's like totally different. You know what I'm saying? Instead of him like being out there going to clubs, trying to make it as an artist and
saying what's the worst that could happen and then going to make it happen.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. It's crazy how life will flip on you like that. Like, sometimes when you take a chance on some things that you can have a breakthrough, man. You can have the life that you never thought was coming your way. Yeah. And I just love to keep talking about this. We're gonna do this again, man. We're gonna talk about this again. How life can flip on you. Yeah. Let's invert those. Let's invert those times, man. Let's change those thought processes, and perspective. Let's flip it. Take a minute to flip. Even if you have one flip a day.
Take a list. Get the list and start making
the list. Yeah. All right. Make it a conscious thing in your brain that when something negative comes up, flip that thing.
Exactly.
Just do it once.
And create
and
the
try
list.
And create that practice in you.
Show the pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah. If you gotta come on now. These cons go kill the pros.
Exactly. Of course. So
before God
Exactly. Just do the opposite of whatever the cons are.
Do the opposite of whatever the cons are, and you can be successful at anything you want to do. Yeah. And we're gonna be successful right here on the D&D Leveling Up podcast. And if you don't know, now you know. That's right, guys. Deuces. Check you later, man.
Hey, like and subscribe.
All right. That's good.